the company pulled out of the West Bank, the occupied territories, and Unilever got a tremendous amount of pushback for that and ended up usurping the power of the independent board and ended up selling the rights to Ben& Jerry's to an Israeli, which they couldn't do. That created some problems. And anyhow, at one point, Unilever announced that we're going to sell our entire ice cream division, which is about 100 brands around the world. And Ben& Jerry's was part of it. And we had been having, since that time in 2021, there was that conflict with the board over the West Bank. They continued to silence and muzzle Ben& Jerry's when it tried to speak out on issues of justice, like calling for a ceasefire in Gaza or supporting students' right to protest. Jerry and I went to Unilever and said, if you're going to sell off the whole ice cream division, why don't you just separate out Ben& Jerry's so we can find some socially aligned investors to buy it and solve this problem? They weren't willing to do that, and so eventually they spun off their whole ice cream division into the Magnum Ice Cream Corporation. And as soon as Magnum became the owner, they fired the CEO, who had been a 30-year employee, because he was listening to the independent board and actualizing the social mission. And then they went and illegally dismantled the entire independent board. Clearly Magnum does not have any interest in maintaining the social mission, and that's why we need to free Ben& Jerry's and get it owned by an entity that supports it.